But today, guys, we're going to talk about this controversial person, and especially in the
Figure.
quote unquote manosphere YouTube space called Kevin Samuels. All right. So, long story short, let's go into detail. Kevin Samuels is this, um, I guess, a lifestyle coach, quote unquote. Use that loosely. He has just had a spectacular rise in social media. Like he's been on all these popular platforms like No Jumper. I think he's been on the Breakfast Club. He's been on Vlad TV. Apparently he's been doing YouTube for years now. Oh, he's an image consultant. That's his title.
Okay.
He uses an image consultant. But anyways, yeah, he's been all over YouTube, all over in the red pill community, and there's a lot of controversy between him and basically what me and Will are going to talk about is whether Kevin Samuels is beneficial to black men and men in general, and is he really helping men, or is he really uh, breaking down or not helping men?
Well, he also went into women too, like black women. He
Yeah,
said he's not trying to ruin either uh, either groups, um, but truthfully, I mean, he's getting a lot of clout right now because of like bashing women, but not necessarily
yeah.
bashing them. He's just telling them how they are. I mean, I can relate to the hate that he gets because like a lot of people say that I'm too blunt, I'm too straightforward with things that I say,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't believe in like sugarcoating things. If I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if it's true, it's true. I mean, there's nothing that you can do about it at the end of the day. And I think that his bluntness is what really gets people riled up because it's like, well, who are you to tell this woman this or this guy this? I seen one where he called some dude like legit a fat ass because he was like, I can't get women or something like that. I don't know the exact context, but I came in on the end of it and he's like, all right, how tall are you? And the dude's like, yo, I'm like 5'6". He's like, how much do you weigh? He's like, I'm like close to 300. And he was just like, there's your problem. I mean,
Yeah.
in today's society, your image can be a reason why you're looked down on or looked up
Mm-hmm.
on. Um, and everybody's like, oh, body shaming this, body shaming that. But for men who want to get these attractive women, most of the time you have to be in shape, you have to have a good paying job, all these things
Yeah.
that you all these things that they're looking for. Essentially, you don't necessarily need all these things to get a good woman or to get a woman that you're interested in, but sometimes it does help. But I don't know, I mean, I think he's in a society where we just like to sugarcoat things and we like to compliment everybody and just be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you're doing horrible, but it's okay. Like he's kind of like a breath of fresh air where it's like, look, like you're a piece of shit. Like straight up. Like there's no
So
if and or buts about it. I think I mean, if you're thinking about self-image, like you have to look at yourself and be like, I'm not perfect. I have things that I can work on, and that's part of self-growth.
mhm.
So
Another layer I want to add on to this is because we know what he's about, we know his message pretty much, but another, I guess, I don't know if it's like slander or like kind of trying to, it's like a counter Kevin Samuels movement,
mm,
but a lot of popular comedians, celebrities, stuff like that. In particular, I've been catching up on this, what's his name? Damn, man, I can't believe I forgot his name. But he's kind of fat, and he's a comedian on Facebook usually. Ryan Davis. Yeah, Ryan Davis. Do you know Ryan Davis?
I'd have to look at this. Let me see if I can find them. But continue.
But yeah, so a big, I guess, scandal or controversy with Kevin Samuels is that Kevin Samuels is what some people would say like metrosexual. Like he
Mm,
dresses really nice, manicure, pedicure, really like well groomed. And there's some pictures where like I gotta say it, like he kind of he's kind of looking, uh, for better, like a better word, sus. And people are calling that out, like saying that, oh, like all these men that are following him are, they might not know that um he might be of a certain group. And it's kind of crazy because they're kind of attacking his character or whatever, but at the same time, uh I think that this whole rise of the red pill community may enable some men to take it too far in
Mhm.
terms of harming women. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean,
they might take it too far. So that's what some of the points that I guess Ryan Davis was kind of using, like, yo, all these crazy followers not getting any girls or whatever, and they're like, you know, using his message as kind of fuel to the fire to attack women and to be treating women bad. And then people on the Kevin Samuels party or camp, part of the camp, they're saying that, yo, like, you know, feminism has pretty much gone too far and men are used to being shit on. And, you know, this Kevin Samuels guy is pretty much saying stuff that men have always thought, but at the end of the day, they were too scared, for lack of a better word, to say it out loud in public. So what do you think, William, man? What do you think about this whole situation now, where Kevin Samuels is so big that people are starting to attack him because he may dress a certain way or take care of himself a certain way that isn't traditional? What do you think about this whole situation?
So I think I saw a quote about it the other day, but it was like when somebody runs out of things to say, they essentially get louder or start spouting out nonsense. And
Mm.
I'll try to find the link for it. But essentially, I think it is like when you can't prove somebody wrong, when you don't believe, when you, or maybe they're saying something that's true, you go after their character. And truthfully, I
Mhm.
don't believe that that matters. Like, I don't care what he does in his personal life. The message that he's putting out there can be taken very bluntly at times, but I don't see any problems with what he's doing because, first off, so if we talk about the women that come to his show, they openly come to his show. It's not like he's
Yeah, they
inviting them. They
yeah.
put themselves out there. And then when they get on the show and they hear the things that they don't want to hear, then they try to attack him and say, well, you don't have a woman, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have that. And it's like, why does that matter? Like, it doesn't matter if he's been with women, he's been with men, it doesn't matter. In his past relationships, he can actually act on that
Yeah,
and
because
speak from that
I
point
think
of
he was
view.
divorced. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. My bad.
So even if he was divorced or something like that, now he has learned these lessons from those
Hmm.
experiences and he's speaking on them. But I mean, anybody can look plain as day and see like what's going on in society. Like we went from race wars and now it's men versus women. Now it's like
Hmm.
feminists and uh, men not being treated right and things like that. And truthfully, at the end of the day, it comes down to personal accountability. Uh, I think that women's rights definitely need to be something that's brought up. And uh, I mean, women are becoming stronger. Women are doing more jobs that men are doing, not necessarily all of them. I saw another thing
Hmm.
where, what's his name? This is a dude who, if you want to look at a positive, I'll have to find his name here in a second, but what is it? Jordan Peterson. So
Yeah, Jordan
Jordan
Peterson.
Peterson,
Yeah,
yeah, Jordan Peterson is like the positive version, I guess, where
yeah.
he's essentially saying like men are being shit on, and we're looking at 1%, maybe 2% of the man's population that are being targeted as like these super over aggressive alpha males who are just like running the world or always in control, and those might be some of the men that bash on women, but for the rest of the men in the world, it's not always the case. Like think about us, like we work regular jobs, things like that. Hold on. uh Anybody who's not rich, who's still trying to grind out and kind of make a living for themselves, they're not getting any special treatment as men. They're, I mean, he talked about like most men who die, or most men who are, or most people who are dying are men. Most people who are working dangerous jobs, such as construction work, military, firefighters, things like that. Most of those are men. What else? Like just in general, like everybody's trying to be like, oh, there's no equal rights or anything like that. But I'm not gonna say most women, but in most of the jobs that literally build the country, as far as like hard work, um, like just like really strenuous jobs are mostly
Hmm.
men. So it's
And
like, how
yeah,
can men get bashed? I mean, you look at it now, it's like a hardworking man who's in construction, electrician, plumber, things like that. They might not get all the glory and all the respect that a man who literally invests or is a CEO or things like that. Like women always, or not all women, but women go after men who are successful in that era,
yeah,
where men who are literally working hard get looked down on. Like, oh, you go to the club and be like, oh, yeah, 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 I work as a AC repairman. Like I'm a
yeah.
contractor, or like I'm a plumber. And
Hmm.
I mean, most chicks are gonna be like, a plumber, like,
But that's a thing that we talked about before. I believe so, when we're talking about blue collar work and white collar work, because
yeah,
I've seen it a lot of times where like if you ask a woman like, yo, if you would date a doctor who makes six figures and you date like a journeyman, like a craftsman plumber who makes the
mm,
same amount of money, or a trucker or whatever, blue collar work, they'll always pick the doctor at the same time because it's the clout that a doctor, the title of a doctor
yeah,
brings, as opposed to someone who cleans toilet or fixes pipes.
yeah,
Granted, they make the same amount of money.
yeah.
They make the same
But
amount of
they're
money,
gonna
but like
drive,
they'll go
like
to the
the dude
doctor.
who's a plumber might just drive a truck, like an old
Yeah,
beat up truck that can get him to work and carry around his tools and things like that. And the
yeah,
doctor doesn't have to worry about doing like all this manual
yeah.
labor, so he might drive a Porsche. I
It's a
mean,
it's a status thing. So I think that also adds to it.
so with Kevin Samuels, I don't think that he's doing anything that's like wrong. I mean, obviously people are following him. I don't
Hmm.
believe in his followers just bashing women and things like that, because that's not the message that he's
Hmm.
trying to put out there. I saw an interview or just a clip it with him where he was like, I'm not trying to bash these people. I'm trying to uplift people and make them realize that even though you may think that you're not in the wrong, you probably are. Um, there's a lot of episodes where it's just like the women get on there and they talk about themselves, and then it's just like, say this out loud, like, and then tell me what you feel. Even the dude who called and was like, yeah, like I'm trying to get these women, but I don't work out. He said he made like $600 a week or something like that, or six hundred
Yeah,
dollars every
bruh.
2 weeks, like. And he's like, yo, so you're fat, you don't make enough money to literally support anything essentially. He's like, yo, you're like 23, 24, and
Hmm.
like, what do you want? Like, what do you expecting a woman to come up and be like, oh my goodness, like you work,
Yeah,
like you make $1,200, like that's dope. Like, and that's the thing is
nah.
like, he's an image coach, so it's like you need to improve your image and really put yourself out there and work for what you want. Like nothing's
Hmm.
going to be given to you out here, so for you to think
Especially as a
that,
man.
oh,
Yeah.
I deserve this, like that's not what it is. And I will say he's entertaining. People were also talking about how he sometimes gets mad and frustrated, but it's like, bro, you're literally trying to tell somebody how they are because they came to you asking for advice, and then they try to flip it around on you and be like, oh well. It's like, if I can disprove you at everything that you say and it's backed by facts, how can you be mad at me? I'm only stating facts. Like I'm not lying to you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that these are the facts. And as much as you want to believe that you're right and this is what you deserve and things like that, like it's just not always going to be like that. And
Yeah.
I think it's for people to go after somebody's character, like just because they don't like them and things like that. That's like been the biggest thing with this whole, like that's like
Es-
cancel culture. It's like,
Especially with black community, I think. But
yeah, it's just like, oh, you did something I don't like, so I'm gonna slander your name. Like,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, like dig as deep as you can in my past. Like everybody, nobody is perfect, so I don't know why everybody out here is trying to act like they can cast the first stone.
Hmm.
Everybody's got a past. That doesn't mean anything for your future. Like To a certain extent, of course, we can't just downplay everything that's evil and corrupt in the
Yeah,
world. And but for a normal person, for somebody who's messed up in their past, they need to just like it's in the past. Like I don't care what he's
exactly.
done up until this point. If he's still trying to improve himself and improve other people, because he's not. When people call in, he's just telling them like, you want something that you cannot have because of the way you are. So in order to get the things that you want, this is what you need to change. And people don't want to hear that. And that's the biggest thing is like people don't want the truth. They want lies. They
So
want
it I think it goes back to a little bit of we touched on in a couple of our videos, pretty much instant gratification, like entitlement and all this stuff. So I think if you look at a very basic of his message when it comes on to men or women, it's like men want all these IG models, they want the nines and the tens in women, right? And then women, they want, the Drakes and the
obviously
the
future.
high value men that make like six figures. And like, to be honest, men who make six figures, when you look at it in the States, are like, it's a very small percentage, like 1%, 5%, if that.
Mm,
And he's pretty much bringing people down to
they're
a point where it's like, yo, if you want to get to this level, there are certain expectations and things that you need to work on to get to this level. And he's saying that, hey, if you can't get to that level, it's okay. Just,
yeah.
you settle for someone on your level. And, back 30, 50, 30 40 years ago, that was fine. It's like, yo, if I wasn't trying to be like a CEO or something, like if I was just a factory worker,
Yeah.
just find a nice girl and settle down and boom, like, have a family. And it's all good. Same with the females, like, oh, I'm not trying to look for a CEO or whatever. She's just trying to look for a dude that'll treat her right, take
Mm,
care of the kids, and that's it. But now it's like, and I think it's more with women, more so like, well, I'll just say more so with women, but the culture that it breeds is that a lot of young women, no matter how they look, they want the top men. And it's like, dudes like Drake, they
mm,
legit only look at you based on your looks. They don't care about your education and how much money you make. They just, because whether it's a chick from McDonald's or a CEO of a Fortune 500 company,
they're
they're
all the
just looking at your
same.
looks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's from a man's point of view, and I think a lot of women aren't getting that. And it goes back to what you were saying, where a lot of things is sugar coated
Mm,
towards women and whatever. So when he says stuff so bluntly, it kind of like shocks them.
yeah.
So
Well,
I think
I
that's
mean,
the
from
issue too.
every there was one woman who was like, I think she was like 36 to like the age of
Yeah.
40, but she was like, yo, I've done all this stuff in my life and I've reached the peak of my career and everything like that. And she wanted to settle down. And he was pretty much telling her, he's like, not to be rude or anything, but like, you're kind of old now. And he was like,
I mean, yeah, like,
you're 36 to 40 and you want somebody who matches your energy, but he was like most men in the ages of 30 to 36 ain't shit. Like there's going to be a high level of men who are, but they're not necessarily looking for somebody like you. And that's what he
no,
said. He pretty much said like
they're
men
looking
who are
for
at
the,
the
yeah.
same, yes, men who are at the same level as you are looking for younger females. And I
Mhm.
mean, when we're in a society now where Instagram models are kind of like being put out there as like, oh, these are the pick of the litter of women to choose
Yeah,
from, like successful men are going after Instagram models or girls look who can complement their lifestyle. And
yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing is like, I don't think a lot of people want to just look at things as how they are. Is like, yo, you might just not have to settle for somebody who looks cute or somebody who's handsome. Like, you might just have to settle for somebody who you vibe with and who you are just compatible with. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to look the way you want them to. I mean, you see a
Do
lot
you
of
think people are
relationships.
afraid of that?
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah,
Do
of
you think
course.
people are afraid of that? Yeah.
Like everybody is like, oh, I'm cute, I make money, I do this, I do that, I'm handsome, I make a lot of money, so I should have somebody who's equally as handsome or as cute as me or as beautiful as me. And that's not always the case because you might find somebody who's just as handsome, cute, or beautiful as you, and they have a shitty personality, or they have
Yeah.
like morals and values that you don't believe in. So I mean, that goes back to finding love in general. Like, love is blind, as they say, so you shouldn't be. I think everybody's like, oh, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for this. If it's not this, then everything on the outside of this is just not going to get looked at. So this isn't speaking for everybody, though. This is speaking for a
Yeah.
small portion, or just on this topic of the people who follow in general, like social media for the most part, and just
Mhm.
think like, I mean, I
Yeah.
think social media has become so has become toxic, to be honest. Like, and even
It
we talked
has.
about it before, like where Future, people who like Future have a following, and it's like, oh, we need to be toxic out here. And it's
Yeah.
like, why? Like, being toxic is not going to get you anywhere. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, we need to be toxic and treat these females like this and treat men like this and this and that. And where does that get you long term? Nowhere. You're toxic for
Nowhere.
a
Yeah.
little while, then you get to the point where your looks fade away, your money fades away, your everything that you were had before fades away. You get older, and then now it's like you're this toxic person. So that's just like so everybody was like, yo, you're the most hatingest person I know. And I'm like, yo, you know what, after this year I'm done hating on everybody. And I don't even hate people, like hate on people just to be hating. I just hate on people just because I can. And it's like, I'm being blunt about my stuff. But I mean, truthfully, I do just hate just because, I mean, at times just because I can. I mean, it's funny. But I think I'm just gonna be done with that this year, because like, I don't know, it's just like, it's fun, it's funny, things like that. But I need to look at things on a more positive state of mind.
Yeah. A
So
positive light.
yeah, so I mean, I'm getting away probably from social media after this year. As of course, we'll still have the podcast and things like that. But I don't like to follow
Yeah.
like clout topics or like Instagram topics
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Uh, like yeah, Jordan Peterson, like stuff like that. Like he's very positive, but he's also like, people don't want to hear that from him, because it took me a little while to kind of just like transition from like the normal things that I was doing, as far as listening to rap music all the time, listening to people on Instagram and Facebook without any context, and just being like, yo, this dude said some toxic stuff, like this is funny, this is what we need to be doing out here. And then once you get to the other side, which is I assume the red pill side, uh
Yeah.
you realize that social media will run you around in circles. It will literally, even YouTube will run you around in circles, unless you can
Yeah.
take
Well.
what is being projected and mold it into something that works for you. Motivational
Yeah.
speeches, for example, like motivational speeches are good to listen to. Without the action, it's just a motivational speech. The motivational speech is supposed to get you to a higher level
That's a,
of
exactly.
understanding, so that you can do the things that you need to do when you need to do them. It's not supposed to be like, hey, I heard this motivational speech and now I can do whatever I want in the world. No, everything takes time. Just like you finishing college, like I'm right behind you on it. I still got 10 classes, but like
Hmm.
the whole time we've been grinding doing these classes, that's not stuff that's been talked about, that's not stuff that's been glorified. None of that stuff will be glorified, because at the
No, it
end of the
isn't.
day, it only matters if you have the degree. Nobody cares the
Exactly.
sleepless nights you went through. Nobody cares like the classes that you failed, speaking for myself. But nobody cares about all that stuff. Like, that's just what it is. Like, and it sucks that people are only with you when you get to the final product, but that's just how it is. Like, nobody wants
That's
to,
how it is,
people
man.
people want to be there for you when you struggle, but it's somewhat toxic, because you're complaining, you're just like, yo, this sucks, this and that. So you're bringing down their mood, and they don't want to hear that. And then you're in a better
Yeah.
mood once you finish, and you're just like, I see, like, I see why it was so toxic and things like that, because I'm so ready to finish this degree. Like, it's not even fun. Like,
Yeah. Like I was done.
yeah,
I was done, man. But yeah, I kind of on you. I mean, with all this stuff about the pandemic and all this craziness that's going on. It's kind of like, yeah, social media is not the way to go. It's I think because everyone is so connected and everything, and
Yeah.
so stuck on like, oh, I need to be like this person on Instagram or this person on Facebook, and half of those people are living fake lives anyways. I think it's just
Fake it till you
messing
make it,
people
like,
up, and
was like
yeah,
the biggest thing that popped off. And the thing is like a lot of people don't get the meaning behind fake it till you make it. Like, fake it till you
yeah,
make it doesn't mean like fake it until you literally don't have anything. And I think that's where like people took a extreme, like,
yeah,
um I mean, even my life, like you can look on my Instagram and be like, oh my goodness, this guy has a Supra, this dude has shoes, this dude has this, and that, but it's not always sunshine and daisies. Like, I mean, this goes back to what they say is like most people post the good times on social media and not the bad times.
yeah,
So, yeah, of course, you're looking at somebody's social media page and it's always going to be like the good times, the good times, the good times. Like, uh, and I think that being connected on social media with family and friends and things like that makes it hard for people to kind of just get away from it. But think about our parents, our grandparents, like they used to just call people like, hey, like, I'm gonna come stop by the house. And I think a lot of people are just like content with being connected on Facebook. Have
yeah.
You have so many friends and family on Facebook, and how many of these people do you see on a normal basis? How many of these people have you actually reached out to and just actually had a conversation to? Not saying that that's not everybody, but for me personally, yeah, like we're speaking of, I got to call my mom and sister today just to be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? But you have to go out of your way to do things like that. Um, as far as Kevin Samuels goes, though, like I don't see him doing anything wrong. I see it as more so his clout is what's really affecting his message, because if he says something and then people run with it in a certain way, then he's
Mm.
a direct contributor to the way that they're acting, and that's not what it is. Like,
And I also see it as like he's running a business, so there is a certain edge that he puts it. There's a certain purposefulness that he does
mhm.
when he does things a certain way, because he's running a business ultimately. He's trying to get clicks and likes and views, because
Yeah,
but
but that's the thing is
ultimately,
like
yeah,
when people don't like him, they're just like, yo, let's cancel this man. Let's do this, let's do that. And it's like nobody can be successful without somebody wanting to ruin that success based off of one thing they said, one thing they did. Like, think about everybody, like I'm gonna watch a video later, but it was like, how did Kanye West, Kevin Hart, and somebody else escape cancel culture? And it's just like, you want me to apologize for something I said 20 years ago? Like, I'm not
yeah,
even the same person. Like, I might have said that 20 years ago, but what was the context of me saying that? Like, why does it even
hmm,
matter anymore? Because like, oh, once you're this person, you're always this person. And that's not the case. Like, people evolve, people change. Like, our whole culture has evolved over the course of 10 years, let's just say.
exactly,
So
yeah, for sure, for
that's like
sure.
saying like, oh yeah, 10 years ago America is the same America it is today. Like, it's not. It's social media isn't even the same that it was 10 years ago. But 10 years ago
No,
we were
it's
on
not.
MySpace, like coding, not even know that we were coding. Like like, and now it's just Facebook, like
It's
Facebook and
literally integrated in
Instagram.
our lives now.
And the thing is, if you
Yeah,
think about it, like social media is becoming easier to use because it's taking more and more context out of everything. Like, think about it. Instagram is literally, it took out all the discussion and stuff like that, like forums and pages. Like, you used to have your page where you could like literally have full blown conversations like a blog. And
oh shit,
Facebook was kind of like that too. But then as they started shifting, they make it so that you can consume more content and less
in
information.
less time. Yeah,
Exactly. So now if you see a long drawn post on Facebook, you're like, I don't know if I want to read all that. Like,
hmm,
so then people started posting memes, and then memes
that's
catch the
probably why
attention.
Reddit is a thing now. It's so big.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
people
probably
actually
why.
talk on Reddit, like people who want to have actual conversations and not just, I mean, people do argue on Reddit, but like
Yeah,
Reddit is actually, I might have to tap into Reddit more, just like to
dude,
have
Reddit is good,
conversation.
man.
Yeah.
Reddit is awesome.
Cause like you try to have conversations with people on Facebook and Instagram, so toxic, bro. Like, people just want
So
to troll, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's like world troll expertise. So you're like, bruh.
Keyboard warriors, bro.
So, I mean, of course, you probably get that on Reddit too, but
Yeah.
it's wild, man. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think people necessarily will follow people who are sending out uh, positive vibes, like positive information,
I don't.
because
Yeah.
if it's not funny, if it's not provocative, like then if
Yeah.
you're
They
not
don't want to.
yeah, if you're not going out of the way to seem like you're passionate, and maybe Kevin Samuels like started off like where he wasn't, because like truthfully, I didn't know about him until like he started popping up on Instagram and TikTok and things like that. I think TikTok is like definitely accelerating information, it's along with Instagram. So like things are just being shared. Like that's the thing, is like things are being shared from like 2-3 years ago that nobody saw before, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is new. But like you said, Kevin Samuels has been around for a while.
Yeah.
So
He's been around for a while. Man.
yeah, so I don't know what he did that all of a sudden just like he blew up like that, but I think a lot of people
Um.
get stuck in that too. Is like you're here one day, you're gone, like you're famous the next day. But he, like you said, like think about Big Sean. We can talk about music and things like that. Like all these people are like, oh, these people became the GOAT overnight. Like they didn't. Like Big Sean was dropping mixtapes, J. Cole was dropping mixtapes,
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar was dropping mixtapes before people even knew who they were. So then when they came out in the mainstream and they finally got some stuff that started popping off, everybody was like, "Who's this new guy?" And it's like, new to who?
Nope.
like, bro,
Exactly.
we've been listening to these dudes since like 2010. Like, just because their first album blew up in 2013 doesn't mean they weren't around. So that goes
Yeah.
into success in
Another
general.
time.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like just like how we did our degrees, is like people will probably be like, yo, how did you get to where you are now? Like where you're making money and doing all these things. It's like, you mean the last 5 years that I put into this? like,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
but
But
let's do some closing remarks on the Kevin Samuels.
yeah. So my take on it, all in all, I think Kevin Samuels is a very good part in, I guess, the men's space, or the manosphere space of YouTube and social media. Just out of the fact that a lot of us grew up without fathers or whatever. Not saying that he's gonna take over as a father figure, but him and a lot of other YouTubers like him, they pretty much put the younger generation on game and how to navigate through women and life in general, and how to become better versions of themselves. And but with that being said, you know, don't follow anyone on social media blindly and take it for, the gospel. Obviously, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Take in various versions of information, and decide on what you think is right. You know what I mean? Don't think for yourself. But overall, I think he's doing pretty much a good service for men in general. So that's my thing.
Yeah, and
What do
my
you think?
take on it
Well,
is, while it's funny, like how, I mean, not saying like funny, like how he's bashing people, but I think him bringing people down a peg, like, is dope, because
yeah,
everybody just assumes like I make $70,000, I should also find somebody who makes $70,000. Like,
yeah,
it's not always going to be the case. Like, if that's what you're looking for, then you'll probably never find what you're looking for. Or just change your environment and put yourself in a position to get to that. But you can't be mad when you get to people who make 70, $80,000 and they're not what you thought they were. And I think that's a big thing, is like people want things, and then when they finally get it, they realize like, you know what, this isn't what I actually wanted. So,
yeah, for sure, for sure.
so I think that, I mean, some of the people that are called on his episodes, I've just been like, yo, are you serious? Like, I
Yeah,
think
you are
people,
delusional.
yeah, people just need to really sit back and look at themselves before they start trying to be like, well, I don't know why people are treating me like this. I don't know why I can't find this, I can't find that. When it's like, everything that happens in your life is based off of your choices. Like, whether it be good or bad, you have to kind of take the good with the bad. And things aren't always going to be sweet. Like bad things are just going to happen to you sometimes, and you can't let that be like your motive to be like, well, I'm just going to be a bad person because no matter what I do, everything kind of just bad happens to me. It's a state of mind. The more you project that, the more that will come into your life. So I'm a firm believer in that. What you put out in the world is what you get back. So if you're trying to be positive, then positive things will happen. You have to look at everything in a positive light. And the more negative you are, the more negativity follows. Like, think about maintenance. Like, bro, like, as positive as you can be about maintenance, like, something always went wrong. It's just like, so you can't get away from that. So, and then everybody around you is always like, yo, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. And it's like, that's why, like, I don't necessarily, I can see where he's coming from, because I mean, I also wanted to be a therapist, like I said before. So I look at things from both sides of the story. I'm kind of neutral. So something in his life obviously happened to where he wanted to pursue what he's pursuing now. And to be honest, I think he's good at it. I don't think that he's doing anything that he shouldn't be doing. I've never seen him blatantly disrespect anybody. And if he has, then that's what somebody views him as, is a whole person. Like, but you got to think, people are getting disrespectful out here and don't expect people to be disrespectful back.
Exactly.
And I get that they're trying to get him out of his character, but that doesn't mean, like, if you're going out of your way to piss me off, like, there's only so much that anybody can take, period. Everybody has their breaking point, and you can't just be like, oh, see, look at him now, like, that's like, come on. Like, and that's what people like to do. They like to push your buttons to the point where you act out of character, and it's like,
and then they slander you.
Yeah, they slander you as soon as they see you out of character, and it's like, well, what led up to this? And it's like, and then everybody's like, it doesn't matter. He has that potential to be that. I mean, everybody has the potential to be the worst version of themselves that they want to be. It's all about control. So I don't know. I mean, I think that he's picking up so much, and then of course they're going to be like, he's bashing women. Like, he's not going out of his way to bash women. He's not picking out. I could see if he was going to each person's Instagram and being like, yo, look at this fat chick, or like, look at this poor chick, or look at this chick with 5 kids and this and this and that. Like, he's not doing that. He's literally saying, he's like, yo, come to my show and I'll tell you about yourself. And I know there was one interview that he did. It was like a podcast type of view. And he went in on these 2 women and they just walked away. Yeah. And he was like, they were like, you wouldn't have this show if we weren't here. And he's like, we will, because 2 other women are going to come on the show right after you if you decide to leave. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like, everybody thinks that they're so much bigger than what they are. And when it comes down to it, it's like, somebody who's less fortunate than you, somebody who's less successful than you, is going to be willing to take this spot. So like, it's just like in the military when they say like, yo, you're training your replacement, because truthfully, like, the new guy coming in is going to replace me one day and I'm going to be gone. So just like you got out, I guarantee you they weren't like, oh man, let's put a fucking plaque on the wall and mourn his loss. Like, they're just they're just like, cool. Bet, like, another dude who got out, like, we got another dude coming in to replace you. Like, and that's the thing, is like, a lot of these influencers think that they're bigger than what they are, and when the reality comes down to it, is like, if these platforms ever disappeared, you still have to be able to provide that to some other platform. Like, Kevin Samuels will be good if Instagram wasn't around. He'll be good if there's no social media, because him as a person and what he does, his degree, whatever it is, or his profession, whatever he's in, can transfer outside of social media. And that's the biggest thing, is like, people need to realize that if your profession can't transfer outside of social media or the internet or things like that, it might not be the best thing to pursue long term. I mean, get it while it's good, but it's not always going to be good. Like, exactly. So, but that's essentially my views on it. I don't think he's doing anything wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, same here. But anyways, guys, that's all we have for tonight, or the morning. We're in different time zones.
But we'll
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about Kevin Samuels? Think he's doing good? Think he's doing bad? Are you guys neutral? Leave it in the comments below. But that's all we got for tonight, guys. We got your boy Willie Man, got your boy Pop, and we'll see you in the next one.
Once we find this outro. All right, we out.